everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Black Spire Outpost Cookbook. Yes, Space Month on the channel, even on Mystical Munchies, is taking on a space flavor. Today we're going to be making the appetizer, Cat's Kettle Corn. Now if you remember from the first time we featured this cookbook, this recipe does have stories with it, so we're going to tell this one. When I spend my credits at Saka's Kettle on Batu, the grains I buy are usually fully popped and perfectly seasoned. But sometimes I buy the Saka family's heirloom grains to use as ingredients in my own dishes. When placing an order, I always make sure to add in a sack of unpopped corn kernels. That way, if I get a craving for Cat's signature snack when I'm docked at another outpost on the other side of the rim, I can cook some up myself. Once the grains are popped up all nice and fluffy, you can toss them in just about anything you like, whether it's Saka Salt or my own Nerf steak seasoning. If you ain't got any special seasoning on hand, no worries. Quality grains like these are good enough to eat plain. Well, we're going to find out what we think of these, along with what some of these special ingredients are. So, as usual, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so let's move in that direction. In order to make this recipe, we need 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, a few drops of yellow food coloring, 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of popcorn kernels, and a teaspoon of Saka Salt. To make the Saka Salt, we need 2 tablespoons of red salt. I'm using table salt instead, and 2 teaspoons of garam masala. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, Phoenix Knight, what the hell is Saka Salt? Well, let's say we move into the kitchen and we'll address that question first. Before we address the question of how the hell do we make the Saka Salt, let's tell a little bit of story about this one. Ain't many stalls in the Black Spire Outpost market more popular than Cat Saka's Kettle. Like I said before, Cat and her family have been growing their heirloom grains on Batu for generations, and now Cat is popping up those grains and tossing them with all sorts of wild flavor combinations. Some are fruity, some are salty, some are spicy, and some, like her popular Outpost mix, are all of the above. Cat has made it clear that she ain't got any intention of spilling the secrets of her signature flavor combo, despite my best efforts to coax it out of her. But since I've become a frequent customer at her stall during my visits to Batu, Cat was willing to share one of her secondary seasoning mixes. If something this tasty is only her second best seller, Cat's got some serious skill with the spice. Well, let's find out about that. As you can probably guess, it's not very hard to make at all. So what we're going to do, recipe as written, we need a food processor out, but for the substitutions, we won't in this case. So we're going to take 2 tablespoons of our salt. Normally we'd put the red salt and the garam masala in a food processor and pulse it until combined, but given that this is already very fine, we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to take 2 tablespoons of salt. Okay. That can go to the dishes. The salt, I don't think I need the salt again. I don't. So that can go back up. And the 2 teaspoons of garam masala, which will of course need to get opened. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can get this extra paper. There we go. I was trying to get the paper covering off, preferably without doing anything crazy to my fingers. I got it loose. So 2 teaspoons of that. That's a generous 2 teaspoons, but we can probably work with it. We'll break that up before we put it back up. And now, because everything's already broken up, and I've chosen this bowl, we're going to put the lid on. There we go. And we're just going to give it a shake up. That looks pretty good. We'll open it up and give it a quick look. Okay, cool. We'll put the lid back on that. And then since that isn't... Whoa! Getting a little bit of a whiff there. Since that is an airtight container, we can store that for up to 2 weeks. But let's move over to the stove next, where we can start cooking up the kettle corn proper. As you probably noticed as we were making the Saka Salt, we do have a pot with a lid on it. So we're going to start by, of course, taking the lid off, because it wouldn't make sense to add anything to the pot with the lid on. It's supposed to be a medium pot, but this is the smallest pot I've got that's also got a lid with it. So we're going to use a stock pot. Anyway, now we're going to pour the oil and the food coloring in to this pot. So here's our 1/4 cup of veggie oil. Okay. We'll put the veggie oil back up. And then we'll take a few drops of our yellow food coloring. It's gonna be a gel, so it might be a little... That's probably more than a few drops, but that should do. That can go back up as well. What did I do? Here we go. I've got a bag full of all kinds of food coloring in here. There we are. Okay. Now we want to set that over medium-high heat. So we're going to put this at about an 8. And I'm pretty sure I've got the right burner turned on there. Once we confirm that we've got the right burner in there, that we've got the right burner turned on, which I'm pretty sure we've got now. Looks like we're pretty much... We should be good there. Okay, yep, we're fine there. We'll give that about another minute or two to start coming up to temperature. In the meanwhile, we're going to get the rest of the ingredients that are going in here ready. So we're going to get the popcorn kernels, which we need 1/2 cup of those. We need to pull a little more out of the other container. Good thing I've got another container of popcorn kernels here. Easy does it. Okay, we'll make sure we get all the popcorn kernels in there. There's the cap. Okay, we are good there. So, now we're going to go ahead and add in the sugar and the popcorn kernels. There's the sugar going in. The popcorn kernels. Then we'll throw the lid on top, and we'll give the pot, once I put the sugar back up, we'll give the pot a few good shakes. Okay, that's probably why they want a smaller pot than that, so it's a lot easier to shake up. We'll have to pull it off to give it a good shake, but that's easy enough to do when you've got oven mitts, pot holders, what have you. So we're going to leave the pot on the heat for several minutes until the corn starts popping, and at that point we're going to shake it every so often until we can't see the bottom of the pot through the popped corn. Then we'll remove it from the heat and continue to shake to cover the popcorn with the sweet coating. So once the corn starts popping, then I'm going to shut the camera off so I don't bore you guys with corn popping, and we'll come back when the popping's all done. So we'll wait for it to start in earnest here. It helps that this pot's got ways for steam. Should probably put it there so the steam can vent out. Definitely starting to sizzle. I can definitely hear it in there. Assuming this is all good, some of this will be available at the concession stand later this morning, as we have Saturday morning baseball with Game 5 of the National League Championship Series in my 1991 playoffs between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Doug Drabick will be going for the Pirates, and Mike Morgan will be going for the Dodgers. The Pirates currently lead that series 3-1, and they're looking to close out the Dodgers before the series shifts back to Pittsburgh. We know the Pirates are going back home after Game 5, but we don't know yet if the Dodgers are coming back with them to continue the series in Game 6. The Pirates won Game 1 by a score, I believe, 8-2. I think Drabick was the winning pitcher, and Morgan was the losing pitcher. So I'm kind of rambling on that, but I'm also hoping this afternoon we're going to have a second game in the playoffs as we have the American League Championship Series, Game 6 between the Athletics and the Royals. The Athletics lead that series 3-2. Both of these looked like they were going to be both of these were 3-0 series before, and the popcorn's starting. Both of these series were 3-0 games before the Royals have come back to cut the lead for the A's to 3-2, and the Dodgers just picked up their first win of the series. So the corn is starting to pop. So I think at this point, now that the popcorn's starting to pop, I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'll work on this off camera. We'll come back when the corn's all popped and in our large bowl. The popping is actually completely stopped at this point, so now we're going to bring this into... It definitely looks like I burned some of it, so we're going to pour it off into our large bowl. Oh, that's actually not... Yeah, some of it got scorched on, so let's grab a spatula. Actually, there's not a Star Wars themed one on there, otherwise I'd use that one. Yeah, some of it definitely scorched. So this is going to need this pot's going to need to soak for a little while. It's not my first time ever messing up a recipe, and it won't be the last. Hopefully it won't cause too many problems when we get into the taste test. But we'll find that out soon enough. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take the Saka Salt and pour a teaspoon of that in. Then we'll mix that up. Make sure it gets coated. Next, we could probably just Given that I'm not going to use it for anything else, I could probably just dump it all in. Let's do that. That's the one thing I really don't like about these specialized spice recipes or whatever. You don't really use them for anything else other than what's in the cookbook. Okay. Let that get shaken up a little bit. Okay. I think we're all good there. So there's our look at the kettle corn. You could easily throw other things in there, like nuts of some kind, if you want to make it a really interesting mix. But we're going to carton off. We're going to portion off a little bit of this, and then I'll meet you guys back over at my desk for the taste test. I've got a little bit of the kettle corn right here. Again, some of it did get burned in because of the oil and the sugar in the pan, but hopefully it won't cause too many problems with the taste test. Anyway, let's give it a taste and see what I think. Ooh. This actually isn't too bad. The garam masala, I think, of the Saka Salt was a little bit noticeable, but I also did pour the whole thing in rather than just use the teaspoon, so that made it a little bit more noticeable. But otherwise, this was actually pretty good. And I normally do like popcorn, and it's been a while since I had kettle corn. So now having a recipe that I'd be able to make myself is actually pretty handy to have if the mood for kettle corn ever strikes me. But that is another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. As I mentioned, we've got a busy time coming up on the channel. Next week, we'll be making the side, and I'm trying to remember what the side is. It's not fried Andorian Tipiak, because that's the entree. Let me pull up my content schedule here. You can go away. Here we go. Let's see, we are making... Okay, the side is roasted kajaka root for next week. As for the games coming up on the channel, as I mentioned, later today, we're going to have a double header in the 1991 Payoff Pitch Baseball Replay playoffs. First up, the Pittsburgh Pirates are back in Los Angeles to play the Dodgers in Game 5. Then the Oakland Athletics are back in Kansas City playing the Royals. The Royals are trying to force Game 7 after being down 0-3. The Dodgers are on the same path, but they are starting on Game 5 tonight. As for tomorrow, we're playing Space Empires 4X from GMT Games, which is also known as game number 6 on my TACUP Wargaming list. Wednesday, we're debuting Astro Knights from Indie Boards and Cards. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.